Is there supposed to be a certain protocol for people to check in?
No, and I begin with me, and then he can speak, and they can speak for the other generation. But never, you know what I mean? We don't have time for no sucker shit like that.
Know the reason, but what is the reason why you moved to Houston?
Well, look, first of all, like every time I've experienced Houston, like when I was out here, I ran into random acts of kindness. Like the people have been good to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the places that I'm like, man, or maybe Houston, like Houston or Miami popped into my head. Mm-hmm. They said 58%. I said, what? You my partner? The IRS is my partner now? Oh no, all you get is a Yankee hat? I'm going to Houston.
Welcome back to Star Watch. Huge thanks to everyone who's been rocking with us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the heat we drop. Looks like 50 Cent just dropped a bombshell that's got the streets buzzing. This drama between him, JPrince, and Supreme McGriff's crew runs way deeper than we thought. And now 50's leaking stuff that's turning heads fast. This ain't just rap beef anymore. 50's hinting it could have been something deadly serious. What started off as folks thinking it was just another ego clash.
Is there supposed to be a certain protocol for people to check in?
No, and I begin with me, and then he can speak, and they can speak for the other generation. But never, you know what I mean? We don't have time for no sucker shit like that.
50 refusing to check in, JPrince taking that as straight up disrespect, now sounds like something way darker. He's claiming there was a real plot to get him taken out, and he's dropping actual names. And here's the wildest part. Supreme's own son might be wrapped up in this mess. And Rick Ross, he might be stirring the pot too, teaming up with 50's known enemies just to make things worse. Now that 50 is connecting dots between JPrince, Supreme's legacy, and all the shady moves behind the scenes, the picture's getting scary clear. Could this be why 50 suddenly dipped out of Houston? Was a real setup brewing behind closed doors? Let's run it back. Everything kicked off in Houston, a city JPrince basically runs like his personal kingdom.
For me to start a new relationship with Houston, I'm excited about it. I had an opportunity, I had a lot of fun things for the kids. I think that they're really going to get a chance to appreciate and enjoy it.
When rappers slide through, they're expected to check in. They call it respect, but to a lot of folks, it sounds more like pressure, especially since even people do get hurt after checking in. So when 50 Cent made his move to Houston, JPrince expected him to follow the street rules, but 50, he wasn't having it. 50 flat out refused to check in, made it real clear he didn't owe nobody a thing. He had his own team, his own money, and wasn't about to play by street rules he didn't respect. To JPrince.
And so today we have the honor of saying to him, he's our 2022 Grand Marshal. Give it up to Curtis 50 Jackson.
That was a straight up slap across the face. And 50 wasn't just passing through. He moved in for real. Tweeted, "I love New York, but I live in Houston now." And folks thought it was all about taxes, which made sense. New York taxes are wild. And 50's all about business moves. But turns out there was way more to it. He had huge plans lined up. A $20 million G-Unit film studio, liquor deals, branding plays, and even projects to give back to schools in the community. He was locking in like a real boss. But here's where it got sticky. He was doing all that right in JPrince's territory. No check-in, no green light, no nod to the so-called gatekeepers. That move, it rubbed the whole city power structure the wrong way. And then the whispers started flying.
Nigga like 50, there's only 4 niggas that I know personally in Queens that wasn't scared of Preem. 50, E-Money Bags, Homo, and Big Noise Troy.
People claiming there was pressure on the low, certain opportunities getting blocked, people watching 50's every move. Word was that crews were just waiting for him to make a mistake. But 50, he didn't fold, he doubled down. In his eyes, all this check-in stuff was just a dressed-up way of saying extortion. And to be honest, he might have been onto something.
You know I have the resilience to go against anybody. Like, there's nobody that's too ill. Those are the guys that you would choose not to go against at that point. Just in the environment, they got...
Even folks who did check in still ended up in messy situations. Takeoff, checked in, still gone. Jacob the jeweler, pressed hard. XXX Tentacion tried to lay low, still got hit. So from 50's point of view, why hand over money and power for protection that clearly doesn't protect anything? 50 saw right through it. Fake protection, plain and simple. And after everything he survived, he ain't someone who gets spooked easy. But then, out of nowhere, the energy shifted. 50 suddenly pulled the plug on Houston. No announcement, no drama. Just like that, the G-Unit film studio plans vanished, and everything got moved to Shreveport, Louisiana. Quiet move, but it screamed something was off. People were stunned.
This was the idea of my father, seeing that it was connections to Drake and Kanye, and that they were such iconic figures, and with them going through things.
This was the same city that literally gave him a key to the streets. Why bounce now? The answer slipped out in an interview. Houston didn't embrace me the way I expected. That one line said everything. The vibe changed. He didn't feel protected, maybe not even welcome. And get this, while all that was happening, 50 was still getting major props. He was named Grand Marshal at the Thanksgiving parade. November 24th was officially declared 50 Cent Day in Houston, and even the mayor was showing big love. The community was cheering, but one powerful name wasn't clapping: JPrince. Sources behind the scenes said JPrince was heated. From his view, 50 was flexing in his city with too much shine, too much power, and no check-in. This wasn't about clout anymore. It was about control. And 50, he was taking that control for himself. Just when things looked like they might settle down, boom, another heavyweight name popped back up: Supreme McGriff. And if you know 50's past, you know that name ain't light. Back in the early 2000s, 50 got hit 9 times, and a lot of people believe Supreme's crew was involved. That's the same reason 50 dropped the track Ghetto Koran, where he straight up called out street legends in Queens. And yes, Supreme was on that list. In the streets, Ghetto Koran wasn't just a track. Folks saw it as straight up snitching. And Supreme, he didn't take that lightly at all. Not long after, 50 got sprayed, survived the hit, and shot to fame, flipping that near-death story into a whole empire. Meanwhile, Supreme ended up doing life behind bars, but he stayed silent, never flipped. And in that world, that loyalty earned him mad respect. While Supreme sat locked up, 50 was out here turning that same story into interviews, punchlines, movie scenes. Trauma turned into a money machine. And Supreme, he never forgot who profited off his name. Then there's Irv Gotti, a huge piece of this puzzle. Irv wasn't just tight with Supreme. They were like family. Irv helped fund Supreme's legal team, stood tall through the storm, and never ratted. That kind of loyalty, it meant everything to Supreme. But 50, he crushed Irv's entire empire. Murder Inc., Ja Rule, all of it, wiped off the map. And even after Irv passed, 50 still wouldn't let it go. After news broke that Irv died from a stroke, 50 posted a pic of himself smoking hookah next to a fake gravestone with the caption, "I'm smoking on that Gotti pack now. God bless him. LOL." The day before, when Irv had the stroke, 50 even posted, "Damn, I wanted him to see my new shows." That triggered Supreme's son, McGriff Jr., who snapped on Instagram. He said, "If I said I was smoking on your mother and your grandfather pack, ninjas would be telling me I'm wrong, right?" Then he dragged 50, calling him a clown, and added, "Y'all really love this clown. Well, I'm gonna always give the same energy." It got real personal, real fast. Nobody can tell me nothing. That's the energy Supreme's people were giving off. To him, Irv Gotti wasn't just a friend, that was family. So when 50 disrespected Irv, it felt like a direct shot at Supreme too. And that's when things started getting real. 50 began posting cryptic stuff online, shady captions, snake emojis, and silence that spoke loud. He was hinting that enemies were creeping in close, while people around him assumed he didn't see the danger coming. Then the bomb dropped. 50 allegedly leaked some behind-the-scenes chatter, claiming there were convos between JPrince's camp and Supreme's son. Word is, they were talking about lining him up, applying pressure, or worse. 50 didn't stay quiet about it either. He wanted the world to know. He even started trolling JPrince directly online, practically daring him to step out. And just when you thought the drama couldn't get any hotter, boom, Rick Ross enters the frame. Him and 50 been locked in beef for years. Lawsuits, family shots, non-stop disrespect. No love whatsoever between them. But now, Ross is being spotted with people tied to Supreme's side. To most folks, that might seem random. But to 50, that was loud and clear. It's a message. Ross chilling with the son of the man who once tried to take him out? That wasn't just shady, that was bold. And here's where things really spin wild. Word on the street says that Link Up wasn't just friendly. Allegedly, this was part of a bigger play, a setup in the making. Some insiders claim Supreme McGriff Jr. is done playing it cool, especially after 50 kept clowning Irv Gotti even after his passing. And with JPrince involved, that just raised the stakes through the roof. 'Cause for Jay, this ain't just about some check-in, it's about power and respect. Word is, JPrince is out here trying to make an example out of 50. Because if 50 can openly disrespect the so-called street rules and still walk around untouched, then what's stopping other rappers from doing the same? And that's a problem for the whole check-in culture. 50 better keep both eyes wide open, because when you really dig into JPrince's history, things get deep. This man ain't just some music exec in a flashy suit. Nah, he allegedly came up with real street power behind him. Serious connections that go way beyond the rap game. Back in the late 80s, his name was already popping up in federal files. Whispers say he had trafficking routes running straight out of Mexico, through Texas, across Louisiana, and even stretching into Chicago. That's not local hustle. That's big league, organized, and international moves. Around that same era, he allegedly connected with Larry Hoover, the founder of the Gangster Disciples. And once that bond was made, the game shifted overnight. Houston and the Midwest were suddenly locked in with a whole new pipeline, and JPrince was right there in the center, pulling strings. Then boom, out comes Rap-A-Lot Records. On paper, it looked like a label pushing Houston talent to the front. But the word on the streets? That label was more than music. A lot of folks believed it was a front, a way to clean up heavy street money. And the feds? They weren't sleeping. By 1988, the DEA launched a full-blown investigation into JPrince and Rap-A-Lot. They were tapping phones, watching drop spots, flipping drivers, and pressuring everyone in the circle. The case was massive. But just when it looked like they were ready to pounce, poof, the whole thing vanished. By the late 90s, the U.S. Attorney General dropped it all. No charges, no trial, no noise, just silence. And let's be real, stuff like that doesn't just happen by accident. That kind of vanishing act, that screams serious pull. So now jump to today. And 50 Cent might be stomping on turf that's been off limits for decades. He's poking at names that built entire empires in the shadows. Question is, does he really know who he's messing with? So is 50 Cent just being paranoid? Or is he actually exposing something real before it pops off? Is there a setup brewing in the shadows? Or are we just watching a high-stakes power play unfold in public? Drop your take in the comments. We want to know what you think. And don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Because if this story keeps heating up, you already know we'll be right here breaking every twist down.